when I play a Marathi character in a Hindi project, then I'm required to speak a certain way, which is the understanding of a wider Hindi audience of a Marathi speaking person.
I think this is what I have been practicing all my life. I do not involve people in the creative process unless I'm happy with the script myself.
Like I've heard things like you should always attract attention in a scene, no matter what character you're playing.
The fact that there are 8 well-etched out women characters in that show.
Yep.
That I feel it would be rare, like around the world maybe right now.
One of my friend who's an actor, he's completely blind, right? So he gives auditions for these blind characters, and the reason he sometimes gets rejected is because he's not acting blind enough. Yeah. So
Everyone, welcome to the web series Nominees Roundtable at the 8th edition of the Critics' Choice Awards. My name is Stutee Ghosh. I'm joined here by my colleague Avinash R. And we are super excited to be speaking to people who we're very happy made this year so difficult for all of us. Okay. These are people who have worked in some of the finest web shows that you have seen this year, and you must have gone, "Arey, kya kaam kiya hai, kya बढ़िया performance hai, kya likha hai, kya direct kiya hai," and we're very happy that they are here. 56 critics pan-India make up the Film Critics Guild, and we have some of the best talent joining us today here. So we're going to start with a quick round of introductions. I have with me Girija Godbole, Best Actress nominee for Perfect Family. We also have Pushkar Sunil Mahabal, Best Director, Best Writing nominee for Black, White and Grey Love Kills. Roshan Mathew, Best Actor nominee for Kankhajura. Satyanshu Singh, Best Web Series, Best Director, Best Writing nominee for Black Warrant. And Shalini Vatsa, Best Supporting Actress nominee for Khauf. Congratulations and thank you so much for being here.
Firstly, this has been quite an interesting year for web series across this country because you've got some very, very wide content that we've got from, let's say, across the nation. You've got great stuff from Hindi, from Malayalam, from Telugu, from Tamil, from Punjabi. Like, you've got great content. So I just want to start off by asking, like, anyone can start with that. Earlier, with films, you only used to, let's say, have to cater to a particular set of audience. Now, that's not the case. You write for multiple languages. You have multiple actors from across the country being part of the web series. You got, like, Roshan is there right here. So, that's happening. And so I wanted to ask if that also a point of consideration that our audience is not just relegated to a particular set in a particular state or a particular country now. So is that weighing on your minds while acting, while performing, while writing, while directing?
I think the moment Avinash started asking the question, to be honest, Avinash, I think what this has given us is the freedom. But I don't know if we are consciously thinking too much about it. You know what I mean? Like, when we get a subject, we try to see what form should it take. And that decision has more freedom compared to the classical big screen box office feature film structure that we had earlier. But as far as I'm concerned, I really try to see how what is the best possible structural choices or tonal choices with respect to the content. And we do try to make it as accessible. As far as, Black Warrant is concerned, or Vikram sir or we are concerned, we did try to make it as accessible as possible. When we were writing Black Warrant, a lot of people thought that it'll be very dark and extremely depressing to watch, but it is not that. It's a fun ride in many ways. So I think there's a lot of truth in your question, but I'm not sure how consciously we bring it into practice, apart from exercising the freedom that it gives to us.
see, जहाँ तक black, white and grey का सवाल है, I don't think I thought about who's going to watch this, what's my audience, what do the audience want. It was just me trying to have some fun, and it was this absurd idea of a mockumentary in a crime genre, because we had seen mockumentaries like the Borat and stuff जहाँ पे comedy के लिए use किया जाता है, but it was as simple as that. I was watching Don't Fuck with the Cats and Dark, what was the other one called? Night Stalker. And I just felt, why can't we just fake one? Let's make a fake document. And it was just that. There was no deeper thought behind it, or even any strategy behind it. It was just कि यार ऐसा show बनाने में बहुत मजा आएगा, and I just made that show. I don't think I have anything else to kind of and फिर वो होने लग जाता, because you are actively also watching, you are also part of the audience, no? So you also think from that angle कि यार मुझे देखने में क्या मजा आएगा. I've never seen, for example, I'd never seen a piece of music being used a certain way. So you kind of tend to do all that. You act as an audience to your own show. So yeah.
I like this. So basically, you made a show that you wanted to watch.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. I wanted to watch a show which did not exist, so I just said, and I had some friends who knew how to act, and a friend who was a producer, and a friend who was in the network. So I just said, I can make that show and watch it myself.
That sounds deceptively simple.
Yeah, it is. It is extremely simple. Trust me.
No, but that's quite deceptive. Amazing.
Okay.
It's interesting to be listening to this and the workings of I think genius minds. I want to draw the actors in here. You know, हम इतना सुनते हैं about how long form content is helping audiences discover talent, okay? New faces, the people you know, whose work they till now haven't, and suddenly they see them in roles, characters. And long form allows that you know, you stay with that character for that long. As actors who are being offered these roles, I want you to be honest and tell us, as actors, has life really done a 360-degree turn in terms of the kind of roles you're being offered, or how makers today are willing to see you in a different template? Or you think as actors it doesn't really matter, the medium doesn't matter, whether it's a film, it's a web show, it's, you know, the struggle is real and you're still trying to, as they say, bite into the role of your life, or, you know, want to be challenged for your craft?
So I don't think life's taken a 360. I feel like it's gotten richer. I'm not talking financially, but like there are more projects happening, so there are naturally more opportunities. And with series, especially, you know, with long form narratives, I think there comes the added advantage that there's more space, like you rightly said, more space for more characters to be developed. So there are more actors who, out of a single project, can explore more of what they are capable of. So because of that, we've been seeing a lot of these discoveries being made, or a lot of like great performances coming from people we've seen for a while, but like, you know, maybe they hadn't gotten something that they could really chew into. And obviously, like reach and accessibility is a big part of it. With you know, with OTT being part of everybody's life, I feel like a lot of like boundaries have been blurred, and there's like ease of access to material, right? So even with regard to our first question, I thought, so I was also asking myself, I work, you know, I do say like a series for an OTT platform, but I also like shoot a theatrical film immediately after that. In how I approach the work, I don't think there's any difference. But with say something that's coming out on a platform, there is always some peace of mind of knowing that okay, this is not just about that first weekend. The show has its time to breathe. There is time for word to get around, which is actually how I discovered shows like Khauf and black, white, and gray. So there is time, and this platform is a democratic space in that sense that the show will always be available to somebody who is discovering it at whatever point in time. So that comes with a certain kind of, I think, peace of mind. Having said that, I know there are like other limitations, other like pressure points, other factors that we have to keep in mind when we're working with a platform rather than towards a theatrical release. So that's a completely different conversation altogether. So I don't think it's fully stress free and like fully, just a sense of freedom of expression or anything. I think that might also be a little reductive, but there's definitely this peace of mind that we have time for word to get around.
Amazing. That's a very important point. And with talent like yours, I truly hope it becomes richer in every sense of the word.
Thank you. I do too.
Shalini ji, Girija, I'd love for you to chime in.
also agree with what Roshan said. It's not been a 360 change of that sorts, but yes, there is so much more to do for everybody. So many more people are finding voices, finding paths to do work. Also, going back to the first question, I've always felt, also coming from a regional space, we have all had a very wider Hindi wash of sorts on everything. Every time that I have done a Hindi project, there has been a lot of emphasis on making sure that the content is uh, available and palatable to a larger Hindi audience. And a lot of my regionality has always been asked to either become a caricature or sort of take a more palatable, more cardboard cutout-ish form. Because when I play a Marathi character in a Hindi project, then I'm required to speak a certain way, which is the understanding of a wider Hindi audience of a Marathi speaking person. And I've had a problem of sorts with it where I've tried to negotiate with the makers, but this has also got to do with the whole infrastructure. It's not just the maker and you in conversation here. It's also the platform. It's also so many other people calling shots and what needs to be done and their perception of something. For the first time in Perfect Family, I was actually playing a character who's from UP who's living in Delhi. So I was actually pleasantly surprised that I was put in that role in the first place. And I was really happy that this idea of language and the barrier that it creates sometimes in casting was not considered, or that was not a concern to the maker. So I was pleasantly surprised that that part was offered to me. And no, the accessibility of it doesn't come to my mind also immediately at first, unless it's so outlined that you have to sort of make your Marathi accent in a way that it's more accessible to. When it comes to that, then yes, that's playing on your mind all the time. But when we were doing Perfect Family, for that matter, it was just about getting that story across and being true, bringing the truth of that character out. I didn't have the broader accessibility part playing on my mind as to whether it's going to appeal to so many different people and whether all of them are going to make sense of it. Well, but this could be a concern when you're talking about theatrical films, because then you also have to capture your audience in a certain weekend and make sure that you juice the film in those many days, because that's the whole game, that's the business of it. And with OTT, you get that sort of space for it too. And in fact, my show is not even on a popular OTT platform. We went to multiple OTT platforms and none of them kind of worked out. And then we had to finally put it on YouTube. Uh, I keep telling my producer that we are teaching people how to make tea and then selling them tea. It's like a completely new format of viewing. So you are asking people to pay on YouTube, and it's in itself is a new thing, and people are not comfortable with it because YouTube is considered a free platform. My friends have asked me, I have a premium subscription and then again I have to pay. So it's a very unheard of idea of subscribing to a channel on YouTube and watching content. And I've only been saying things like it's just $60, yeah, guys, just $60. But it is still a problem. And I still have people who shamelessly come and tell me हमने पहले 3 एपिसोड देखे, उसके बाद तो हमने नहीं देखा because उसके बाद तो पैसे मांग रहे थे. तो मुझे लगा है पॉपकॉर्न मिलते हैं उससे ज्यादा महंगे, 60 रुपए में शो मिल रहा है, देख लो. But but that's that. So I guess this show will really test the limit of the breathing space that Roshan mentioned. It'll really be discovered very, very, very slowly, and one day, hopefully, many more people watch it. But right now, we are still struggling to get people to see it on YouTube.
But just the fact that you have these other options where if the idea is to get your content out, then that is possible. Very
But
quickly.
it's a huge risk also. We have to factor in that. Sorry, I'm butting in, but for a producer to have put in that much money and to put it on a slow burner like YouTube, because imagine the rate at which he will recover it. It's a huge risk. And it's a big deal. I feel like I have lots of respect for Mr. Ajay Rai with this respect.
Very quickly, I want to ask you a follow-up question. You spoke about, and I think a lot of actors, makers will relate to this, that we have, sadly fallen into this trap where a certain person from a certain region has to act like that for them to be acceptable. But with this show, like you said, you were pleasantly surprised. Everybody loved you playing that role. You're a UP person from Delhi, and that didn't make a difference. And as an actor, that's what you train for, right? That you can play different characters. Has it changed now after the show is out with the kind of roles that you're being offered? Do you think, are you getting less Marathi roles? No?
I did Inspector Jende after that, which was quintessentially a Marathi speaking in Hindi role. And in fact, I was required to speak with a Marathi accent. And then I also did another film in which I'm also playing a Marathi character. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hope I get to do
I
other
want to add something. I want to add something to this. One of my friend who's an actor, he's completely blind, right? So he gives auditions for these blind characters, and the reason he sometimes gets rejected is because he's not acting blind enough. Yeah. So, so because they have seen sighted actors act a certain way, they
Yeah.
want blind people to act like sighted actors playing
Yeah.
blind. So yeah.
Yeah, you know, people don't speak Marathi like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
तर काय
Marathi
करून
people don't
काय
speak
करतो
Hindi
तू
like
असं,
that.
you
Are
That,
you a vegetarian person? We don't talk like that, man.
that's actually
Really,
such a great
it's very
anecdote, Pushkar.
sad.
I'm going to borrow it for multiple future conversations as a
Yeah.
conversation ender.
Yeah. There are some old actors. There are some old actors also who get rejected because they are not acting old enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You know what I would like to say about this 360 degrees change? That when I look at it personally, no. But when I look at the broader picture of what OTT has brought and what Satyanshu was saying, the freedom that it has brought, and exploration of stories and exploration of characters that it has brought, of course, like put so much of extraordinary talent out there, directors, writers, actors, camera people, editors, everyone. And I mean, talking in terms of Khauf, the fact that there are 8 well etched out women characters in that show,
Yep.
that I feel it would be rare, like around the world, maybe right now. And with such brilliant writing by Smita and having talent like Pankaj Kumar as the director and as a DOP, and Surya Balakrishnan, who is a person who's like, work is where her passion is and her heart is. And as an actor, and having started out with Sacred Games, season 1, and yes, I mean, I know this, that there is a constant need, and somewhere I understand the need also, but the caricature part does happen. There is a push towards it. Not all filmmakers do that. There are a lot of filmmakers who push you away from it, take you away from it also. Is that, yeah, I have played a Marathi, and sorry, Girija, I have played a Malayali, sorry, Roshan, and I have done all that. So there are some filmmakers and makers on OTT who do explore that. And I understand that it's a risk to cast me as a Malayali character, as a Marathi character. But we go for it and we work hard for it. And that's the challenge of it. In Khauf, some of the scenes between, I mean, again, coming to what the kind of 360 degrees change that we're looking at, some of the scenes between Geetanjali Kulkarni and me, when I read them, you rarely get to see 2 complex women having a complex friendship of sisterhood, of resentment, of jealousy, of throwing glass of water or something at each other and carrying it through. So those kind of changes are there. And in the first question of accessibility, do I look at it? No, as an actor, I don't. I don't think I need to. I think my responsibility is to dig deeper where I stand, which is the script and the director's vision. But in terms of the response that comes, which Roshan, all the points that he very well articulated, it's coming from all over. So that, of course, is there. And Ludo was meant to be a theatrical, but it came out on OTT because of the pandemic. So that you saw that, and what you're getting to watch also as a viewer. I mean, all of us who are here and the stories that have been created. And so, not maybe personally, I'll say, if you're going to ask me, has life changed 360? No. Is it changing around? Yes. Is it moving? It's shifting? Yes.
Well, there's a brief time, let's say during the pandemic, just after 2019 till, let's say, a couple of years back, when even OTT started becoming star-driven. You needed a kind of big name involved as an actor, an actor. You just needed a bigger name there. Do you think that's changed now? Because this year, if you look at the kind of content come out, the kind of series that's been working for across, it's not just your big ticket films star being translated into an OTT. You have OTT driven stars. So there's always a point I thought, because of outside India, when you look at the web series or the series that comes out day in and day out, you see a lot of people loving them as OTT players. They don't think of what they've done in cinema or how it's going to translate there. Do you think that phase has finally come into fruition in Indian OTT space?
I don't think, Avinash, there's a visible change. Because when the OTT arrived, it already enabled this. I think a lot of earliest shows that we watched had, okay, Sacred Games had Saif and Nawazuddin, but a lot of earlier shows, in fact, a lot of popular actors today are popular because of these early good shows that were made.
Yeah.
Also, in this room, yes, we are witnessing, we are discussing shows which perhaps not all the shows have really, so-called marketable faces. But I think the real answer to this question will come from shows which are not getting made because of this. Because see, these shows are the, so-called acclaimed shows, and these got made, and today we are discussing. So I think we are wrong sample for this question. The actual answer should come from shows which should be made but are not getting made because of this problem. And I'm sure there are a lot of such shows which are struggling with this problem. I don't blame the industry for this problem. I'm just saying that I don't think things have become easier or better.
I want to ask you something, and it's perfectly fine if you don't want to name names. We don't want that. But I really want to understand. These days, a lot of conversation happens around, secondary viewing, about executives telling you what is it that'll work, the formula, the format, this is what you need to do, this is how you draw in the audience. And I have this feeling that with the kind of shows that you guys have made, I'm sure a lot of that noise you have blocked out. Can you tell us the kind of advice that you got that you have not followed, which has helped you, which has held you in good stead, really?
I think I'm the wrong person to answer this. Like, I've just done one show, and there
No,
was
but
not a
that's
lot of
okay.
advice that came.
Was there
But
anything?
surprisingly, because people don't believe me when I say this, but surprisingly, there was no bad advice given to me by any executive
Amazing.
on this show, on this particular show. I know things are pretty bad out there, but but I've only heard the horror stories, but I'm yet to experience one.
Satyanshu, tell us some horror.
Yeah, same for me. See, Blackout was made outside.
This is so diplomatic of
Not
both
at
of
all, not at all.
No, it's true. It's true. It's not
Yeah,
diplomatic.
no,
Trust me, I'll tell you the day it happens to me. I with
yeah,
names.
yeah. No, I think both our shows are, um, both our shows have been made in a certain way. And I think we exist as shows because we kind of bypass this. I think both shows got made and got the claim because see, Blackout was made outside of a platform. We didn't have a platform. We had applause on board, and we had Vikramaditya Motwane as our leader. So it was easy for us to protect our conviction and our vision, right? Because ultimately it depended on applause and Samir Nair's belief, faith in Vikramaditya Motwane, which is not too difficult to achieve once you are someone like him. And also, applause came on board quite late. By then, a lot of writing was done. Okay, so a lot of writing and a lot of development was done between Vikramaditya Motwane, myself, and my co-writer Arkesh. And until then, there was no one on board. And I think this is what I have been practicing all my life. I do not involve people in the creative process unless I'm happy with the script myself. And I have a feeling that Pushkar also managed to do that because he was very clear
Exactly
about
the
it.
same.
He had
Yeah.
any doubts in his head, then people would come with advice. That's my feeling.
We were exactly in the same space. We wrote the whole 6 episodes, bound scripts, and then went to the networks. It was not there was no development happening with any network. Yeah.
Yeah. So protect that is
Yeah.
I mean, it's great when you're in a position like what Satyanshu described now, which is how Poacher was also shot. So I experienced that there. You're after one like unified vision, and you're fully convinced of the director's vision, and then you go after it. And after everything is done and packaged, is when a platform comes on board. And Amazon did a great job with that. They believed in Poacher as much as we did and gave it the spotlight that it deserved. But at the same time, I've heard of a lot of, obviously, like I have a lot of friends who are working in multiple industries. So there are a lot of projects where like after everything's been shot, there is suddenly like an edit requirement, and you have to, the brief is as simplistic as make everything shorter, and the kind of complications that come with that are terrifying for like obviously the team that's working on post production. But even when you think about it, sorry about that. Even when you think about it from the perspective of actors, right? Like we've paced this out a certain way, and then suddenly, like when chunks from in between have been removed, like a lot of things go for a toss. But that's just the reality, and I feel like out of what I've heard both of them say, I feel like the stronger your conviction is, and the more I guess like loophole free, and the tighter your bound version of the script is, maybe you might get like an easier path for you as you get to your final product.
Roshan and Shalini ji, if you can tell us of advice that came your way, which you are glad you didn't follow. Were there any suggestions about what projects to say yes to, what to, who to
Like
work
generally as actors, or like
with? Yeah.
strictly in the OTT series space?
No,
Generally
as
as
actors,
actors.
as
Oh,
actors.
there's so many. I like never play the antagonist. I started off playing the antagonist to Mammootty sir in my first film, and I had a lot of people tell me that this is going to really affect the films that are going to come to you in the future. They'll always come to you to play the antagonist, and I was like, who says there are films coming in the future? This is my first. I'm gonna go out and do it, and then see what happens after that. And like there's also some like really, again, like it's rubbish when you hear it. That's why you choose not to take it, right? Like I've heard things like you should always attract attention in a scene, no matter what character you're playing, and none of that really makes any sense. I feel like whatever, like at some point you've got to take ownership and have some level of confidence in like what you're doing. Even the most underconfident of actors are at some level doing that, because there's so much noise all around. There are so many different schools, so much advice going around, and all of these are, I guess, essentially people who care for us but just don't exactly know how to help. And it's a different journey for everybody, and like your what worked out for you doesn't have to work out for me, most certainly will not, in my experience. So you just have to follow this, like I keep saying, trial and error. I try whatever I feel like trying, and if it fails, then great. You learn from it, and you have that much more experience the next time you set out to try something. But you'll always be in trial and error phase.
That's very well put. Shalini ji?
Oh, yes. And you also don't take them.
Yeah, of course. Which is why I'm asking. The ones we very nicely blocked.
So, one advice, very like in my first film, which I was given, which till date I've not been able to crack, is when you're on set, make friends with the people who are like the production house people. I still don't know how to do that. I am so like, you have to learn your lines, you have to go on set. I have to see that I don't drop my property, I don't bang into the light stand. I just can't make go with this of making friends. Friendships happen, then they happen. And I think what also saves me personally is I come from a very strong background of theatre with masters like Barry John and Habib Tanveer. So I just keep one that grounding is already there, and how to do the job, and the do's and don'ts of it. And I just stick to that. And that serves me very well. Of course, in good faith, it happens, as Roshan was saying. Your hair should be done in a particular way, and you should, make your appearance like this. And the longest time, and even now, I mean, social media has still not been very friendly with it. And it's all right. This is me, and we'll have our journey with social media and with work. I'm okay with it, and lots of us are okay with it. But you do get advice, and only I don't listen to them.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah, so Roshan, in a way, Kankhajura and let's say Chatapacha has you playing this convict who comes back from the jail for something that happened
Oh
long time
yeah,
back.
I
So,
hadn't
so
made
in
that.
a way, so there are characters that come. Since you not made the connection, probably this question might not be the thing. But did you, let's say, if you had made the connection, would you have consciously ensured that role didn't come in this didn't come in that? So would that have happened? Like, do you make those connections?
No, I don't think the primary identifying factor with either of these characters, with Ashu and Kankhajura or Vetri and Chattapacha, I don't think the primary identifying factor is that they are ex-convicts. That's not the core of the character, and that's not the core of the story. I also hadn't made the connection because Kankhajura was actually shot much earlier. It
Mm.
happened to release around the time when we were about to step into Chattapacha shoot. So like there was a long time in between. There were other projects in between. That's why I didn't make the connection. But yeah, like the characters are very distinct. If you've seen both the projects, or even if you just like read a blurb about it, you'll know that these are like poles apart. So then I don't have to really worry about it. But otherwise, when I feel like there is some core element that is similar, then I try to like separate the two projects with some amount of time or some other work in between, so that it doesn't get repetitive for the audience, and also so that I have like enough of a journey in between in order to equip myself to do it differently. I feel like I'm not that great an actor that if I can play the same character back to back in two projects happening simultaneously and yet make them very different from each other. I need to have some time in between so that like I have a slightly different approach to it at least, or like some kind of growing up has happened within me so that I can like bring more to one of the two characters at least.
I feel any sort of conversation today with creative people is incomplete if we don't talk about AI. I want to know how you guys have embraced it. What are some of the red flags that you feel there are? Is it something that you are very comfortably adapting to? We'd love to hear.
I feel like in my worst nightmares, writers and directors still survive, but uh, because I was in my hometown. This is a place called Changnasheri, about like 2.5 hours away from Kochi. Recently, I took my parents out for a film, my friend's film, which had released, and there was a completely AI ad that played in the theater, and I'd never seen this before, and for a local eatery. And I was watching both of my parents watching this, and they didn't realize that all the actors were AI generated. So at that moment, I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Gotta find something new to do. Gotta do more theater because that's going to be this exotic art form where live humans really like stand in front of you and perform. For everything else, we might have AI generated characters. The very interesting Malayalam film coming out this weekend, actually called Mastishka Maranam, which Krishant is directing, which I think sort of discusses this. I just have a hint from the trailer, but yeah, I'm like very curious to hear from the writers and the makers here.
So yeah, I'm actively using it. I'm already in the post production of my film, and I felt the same way when I first used the DSLR. So only big filmmakers who could afford big cameras could make films, and DSLRs and digital cameras just democratized the whole process. So the way I am using it right now is not to generate like absolutely AI generated stuff, but for example, if I don't have an action guy, I want to shoot a guy punching somebody, I can enhance that punch with AI. I can make somebody fall from a two-floor building without spending too much on my action team and on my VFX. I can fix my lighting. I can make my shots look better, cleaner if I'm an indie filmmaker. So the indie filmmaker in me is like really happy with whatever AI is doing for me. And I'm actively using it right now on a film that I'm doing, but not you doing completely AI generated shots. So it's like auto tune, whatever, if you good quality stuff goes in, good quality stuff comes out. You need to feed it an organic scene played by an organic real human actor for it to manipulate and make it better. So just I was a musician before I got into this. And I remember the phase when digital music production had come into the scene and everyone was like, कि अभी तबला player को तो कोई नहीं बुलाएगा, अभी तो कंप्यूटर से तबला बजेगा. But then came an A.R. Rahman who knew how to use a tabla player and how to use a computer to make him better. So ऐसा नहीं हुआ flute player घर पे नहीं बैठ गए computers आने के बाद. So but computers made their flutes sound better. I should end it at that.
So you're actively using it. You're not threatened by it, and
Not at all.
you think if anything is going to aid your creative vision.
100%. It's going to be a great tool. Whoever refuses to learn it will have to fade out.
Okay, Satyanshu?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think writers, directors, actors, even those who are dedicated to the craft, truly dedicated to their craft, and are not going to settle for mediocrity, they should not be scared of AI. Because see, ultimately, AI will create a lot of mediocre stuff. It will create like huge amounts of mediocre stuff. And people who are okay with that mediocrity, they will be replaced because they are not needed anymore. Like for example, you can create whatever looks using AI, right? But an actor who is committed to the craft and has spent decades practicing it, they know things which, as of now, the AI will not be able to replicate, piece by piece. AI may try. Similarly, as a screenwriter, if you are pursuing really good writing, as a director, if you are pursuing really good, collaboration with the camera and the actors on set, that will not be replaced anytime soon. I think before that, a lot of other things will be replaced. The need for money will be replaced. A lot of production logistics will be replaced. For example, I have a couple of film ideas which there's no way I could have made it. But now I can think of making those films because of AI. If we can settle for mediocrity and if we can settle for quick fame and quick money, then we are in danger. That's my feeling. But if we are really not settling for mediocrity, we don't need to worry. We need to learn AI to do things better. So I'm completely with Pushkar, and I think at least the two actors we have here, they shouldn't worry because no AI is replacing you guys anytime soon.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Just to add
Honestly,
on
as
the
an actor, sorry,
Yes, Shalini
I
ji.
have just not even thought of it. I so enjoy the live, what it does to me, because acting is just this instrument. So it is like, and it's such a rich process that happens with every new script. No chance that I would ever chat GPT also to, replace that, what it does to me. I mean, it's a small part compared to what the makers are talking. That's the bigger business and the impact of it. But yes.
But I think
But
it's significant when we talk about being able to make the films that you wanted to and couldn't because of logistics and lack of budget to finally be able to do that. But I think AI is also developing itself at a scary pace. So we don't really know,
Right.
which way things are going and
yeah, in,
how
in
soon.
fact, I think
Because
sorry, Avinash.
yeah, no. I was asking like if you remember how the Will Smith eating noodles happened, the way it looked
Yeah.
the first time we saw that a slop being created. And that's become the model for now to see how much have grown in AI. And I know, unfortunately, I know people who give script prompts to ChatGPT and get their series episodes getting done. That's happening already.
Yeah, yeah.
As journalists, we have tough time to understand which is ChatGPT generated reviews and which is not. a lot of things are happening like right in front. So I'm pretty sure when in the cinema, like you said, a lot of mediocrity will happen. But just like
Yeah.
how Will Smith video became such a better video after not even let's say a year, it just took a few weeks for it to become better. Is that threatening? The idea that the audience, as Roshan was saying, how his parents didn't realize they were watching an age-generated ad. There is a lot more content that we might have to have disclaimers. Like, for instance, when Rajamouli had launched his Varanasi teaser, he had to say it was not age-generated because people assumed it was. And now you'll have to fight the assumption that anything that's being generated is not AI. You'll have to push the agenda that no, we are not, that's not AI, that's us, that's my writing, that's my acting. Is that something that weighs on your head that you'll have to fight against public perception that everything that's happening right now, which is remotely good quality, could be AI?
I think I don't think I'm very good. Okay. So my writing that is kind of working is not a reflection of how good I am or how bad I am. It is a reflection of a lot of things, like a lot of tools that I've been using anyway, a lot of wisdom that some other people have given me, a lot of collaboration that I'm doing with other creators on set and actors, right? So ultimately, when you watch something written by me or directed by me and you like it a lot, how much of credit can I really take has anyway been a, it's not like a novelist writing a novel. I really think that I am nothing unless all these aides and people come together to give it a shape, and then I can very happily take the director trophy and say that, okay, I directed it, right? Similarly, as a writer, there are so many influences that has already shaped me. And in the writer's room, all the exchange. Ultimately, a scene in my episode is written by Arkesh. A dialogue in my scene is actually comes from Vikramaditya Motwane. A line is actually improvised by an actor. So similarly, AI becomes a tool that I will use, and it will. So I'm not insecure about where am I in this. I'm not insecure with that kind of feeling. I think we have been collaborating. We'll learn to collaborate with AI. AI can do a lot of good stuff, but for that they will need people like us. They will need smart people, insightful people, people who know the craft. In journalism, it is so quick. The churn out is quick, right? You are writing something today and 2 days later it's published. But in screenwriting, we spend years fleshing something out. And that kind of detailing, if you do in a second, I don't think it can reach that kind of finish. That's why I feel kind of secure, and I hope I'm not proved wrong.
Roshan,
And
you
when you generate a AI shot, what you write is a long prompt, right? You tell the camera what to do, you tell how the actor is going to express in that shot, and what the weather is going to be like, how the light is going to be like. I think that's what a director does. So वो 10 लोगों को बताने से अच्छा एक prompt window में डाल रहे हो आप. So but exactly, but वो जो 10 लोग जो करेंगे वो prompt window नहीं कर सकता. वो actor जैसे नहीं, वो the guy who plays all these mocap characters, all motion capture characters. What's his name? I keep forgetting his name. Lord of the Rings में would become who has that ring and
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis.
Andy
So
Serkis, yeah.
you need an Andy Serkis, right? वो motion capture करके आप उससे चाहे Planet of the Apes करवाओ, चाहे Lord of the Rings करवाओ. But what goes in has to be human, has to be an actor playing it. So कल को ये हो सकता है कि I can have a Roshan playing a 100-year-old guy easily with AI. But it will need a Roshan to play the character, no? That AI can't do it. It shows, it looks robotic, it looks fake.
Lovely, guys. Thank you so much for a scintillating conversation. Amazing. Guys, thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you for
you.
doing
Thank
this.
you. It was
Thank you.
lovely
Thank
being
you,
here
Phil.
with and listening to everybody.